hair looks like when it's down?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we got that sorted out. So I'm at my mom's house right now. I'm actually in the guest room. Either way, a few weeks ago in class, we were asked to write something called a personal narrative. Basically, every single kid in the class wrote about a childhood story. Well, technically, I'm still living in my childhood. Now, most of them had pretty boring stories. Like that time they got into the finales at the spelling bee, or that time they played Truth or Dare and had to drink that disgusting concoction. On a boat, oddly specific. Or that time they cut their chin open at a hockey game. Or that time they made their first goal in football. Sorry if I offended you by calling your personal narrative boring. I'm sure it's not. I just didn't read any of them. Except for that one about the spelling bee. Dear God. I wrote about that time where I thought I had superpowers. And that managed to get me in a lot of trouble. So I thought I'd share that story today and reenact a bit of it. Because, you know, everyone loves to hear stupid stories. Especially of adorable little kids. Especially when it's me. It was a fine day, a couple weeks before Christmas, and I was doing shopping with my mom. Now, we were at the shopping center, and I was getting really bored because we had been there for literally 2 hours. So my fetus self decided that I was going to go exploring. And since it was around Christmas time, the store had all these decorations literally everywhere, but they were all from the dollar store and half of them were already broken. I had no idea why we were even there. It was probably the worst place to go Christmas shopping. My mom hadn't noticed that I'd wandered off, and I found a Christmas tree. Now, this specific Christmas tree was a little bit different. Seeing that I was a fetus and only 9 years old, it was taking me a pretty long time to figure out what was different from this tree than all the other ones. The lights weren't on. It took me about 20 minutes just to figure out that the lights weren't on. Now, I decided I was going to pick up the fairy lights off the ground, string them around the Christmas tree, and then plug it into the wall. People were walking by, and they didn't really think anything of it, but they were kind of staring at me because I was like hobbling around on the ground and poking at this Christmas tree. A 9-year-old little girl with glass fairy lights, which were almost all broken, and an electrical socket from the dollar store, which was so crappy and frayed, it looked like it was gonna break at any moment and electrocute me. But they let me do it anyways. So I hobbled over to the wall and I stuck the plug in, only to discover that my 2 fingers were actually going into the socket with the plug. Slow clap it out, people. Thanks a lot, Mom, letting me walk off on my own in a mall. The next day in school, I was just sitting there in class, and then I'm like, holy crap, what if I have electrical superpowers? And I was just pointing at this girl's foot, like, electrocute her. Electrocute her. Conveniently, just to make my little mind go crazy, the girl decides that that would be a perfect moment to reach into her shoe and scratch her foot. So then I was just like freaking out, like, oh my god, did I electrocute her? So I went up to her and made a giant public statement and said, sorry for electrocuting you and using my superpowers on you. Now, of course, she's just super confused and has no idea what to do, and her friends are just like, look at that idiot, she thinks she has superpowers. Let me just give you a gist. When I was in those younger primary grades of school, I was a complete loser. I was the girl that would go and befriend the people that were more loserish than me, thinking that it would make me seem better, but then I'd actually grow attached to them, and then I'd basically be their personal bodyguards. So when I left that school, I made a lot of people cry, and I don't think I ever apologized. Whoops. I didn't really process any of it because I was still, like, overwhelmed with the fact that I had superpowers. So either way, I hide behind this snowbank outside, and I'm just waiting for someone to walk by, because I'm like, oh, I'm a superhero now, so I'm just gonna wait for a bully to walk by, and then I'm gonna shoot them in the face. And the same people that were making fun of me earlier came across, and they were still making fun of me. So I'm just like, oh, this is a perfect time to use my superpowers on them. So my middle finger was the one that got electrocuted the most, so I stuck it into the air, proudly, and stuck it right at their faces. Shitstorm. I mean a shitstorm. Like an insane shitstorm. These kids are just start screaming like, oh my god, you're a fetus. How do you even know about the middle finger? When I was younger, sticking the middle finger up at someone was basically like running over their dog or like killing their family. That's a really accurate description. So they all start charging at me, and I just start squealing. And obviously, this is the perfect time that the scariest teacher in the school has to come up and stop everything. So she blows her whistle, and then we're all just, like, trembling in fear. There was just complete silence. And all of a sudden, she just says, "What happened?" She stuck her middle finger at us. Now, I don't know if these kids hate me or anything, but I would have at least expected them to keep quiet, because you just don't want to mess with the worst teacher in school. So she looks at me, and she says, "Did you stick your middle finger at them?" Yes, but no buts. Go to the office. I'm sure they'd love to hear about it. So I do this awful walk of shame back into the school, and everyone's in the whole schoolyard's just staring at me. So the teacher is all just really proud that she got me in trouble, because I don't know, a lot of people hated me back then. They still do. And then I come out of the school, and a bunch of kids crowd around me like, "Oh my god, did you die? Did you get suspended? What happened?" I literally say to them, "They told me to keep my superhuman powers in check. I just won't use them on any of you guys next time." Basically, no one talked to me for an entire month after that. So there you have it. I submitted that, and it might get on the radio, so that's kind of cool. If you think that I should make more videos telling about stupid stories from my childhood, or stupid stories from current time, then you could just say so below in the comments, and I will probably do so. Wah!